Hey guys, just want to throw out a little disclaimer before you watch this video or before you listen to it, whatever you're doing with the video, that the audio I recorded for the actual video wasn't the greatest. So me and Nick were actually having some mic troubles earlier before the video. I tried to get a nice microphone plugged in for myself and Nick, but for some reason that microphone wasn't working with the software I was using. So I ended up going with the Blue Yeti and my iPhone, and turns out the Blue Yeti picked up a lot more than I would have liked to. So I actually didn't end up including the Blue Yeti in the video, and so the audio you'll be hearing is only off my iPhone. So I apologize in advance for all those people who are going to be listening and saying, oh my god, this audio is terrible. I did my best to clean up the best I can, but there are still moments where I'm breathing in the mic, or you hear myself get a little bit louder than Nick Fazio is, or maybe he's quieter. I'll try my best, and for the next video, I promise this will not be an issue. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the video, and take care.
Service just like that started. Science editor Steve Newman reports on one person already using the brand new system.
What is up, guys? My name is Nicholas Garcelle. Welcome back to another video. Welcome to the second episode, and this is the now podcast, the 416. So I decided to make it that just because we're in Toronto, of course, and you're delivering news from the 416. So why not make it the 416? Hope you guys actually like the name. Let me know in the comments if you do as well. Nick, what do you think?
I love it. 416 makes all the sense. Perfect.
So this is Nick Fazio. He does a lot of TikToks and stuff, and he does a lot of content creation with hockey, basketball, NFL. You name it, he's going to cover it. So I thought I'd bring him on today and just talk a little bit about some of the current themes in Toronto and just entertainment around the world, really.
Excited to be on.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to get a little bit into a sadder topic. For those who don't know, Mike Bossie unfortunately passed away this morning. I believe it was this morning, right?
That was this morning, yeah.
Yeah. And a hockey icon and someone a lot of us looked up to as a kid, watching him on the Islanders, and that passed away pretty young as well. 65, I believe he was.
He was born in the late 50s.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on just seeing that this morning?
Stunned. I was like you said, he's a really young guy. Like,
Yeah.
as when we're at the age of 23 now, like I think that people in their 80s and 90s, like it's funny, like you used to think they were so old, and life is so short now. You realize that everyone is just so young, and it's so unfortunate to hear that anyone passed away, but especially a hockey legend like him. It's wow.
Yeah, it was honestly not great news to hear this morning, seeing Mike Bossie pass away, but we wish his condolences, our condolences, not his, but our condolences to his family and all his loved ones who are going through this right now. He was a phenomenal player, by the way, too.
Fantastic stats. He scored at least 60 goals in 5 seasons.
Yeah.
The high was 69 goals in a season. That's fantastic. Like,
how many cups did he win, actually? I'm actually very curious.
4 cups. He was obviously the leader of the Islanders dynasty in the
Right.
80s, right? So they went on to win 4 cups in a row, and he was a big part of that team.
He was a first-round pick, 15th overall, 573 career goals, over 1,000 points in his career. I mean, just a monster. Described by many dads as a absolute beast of a right winger.
Yeah.
He was only 186 pounds, though, but he was freaking force out there.
He was quick.
Yeah. But yeah, a phenomenal player, and he will definitely be remembered.
Sure.
There's some news this morning, actually, about Mr. Carey Price.
Yes.
I know you being a Habs fan, you're excited about that one.
Very excited. That's probably the best news I've gotten in a while out of the world of hockey, for sure. Carey Price, the best goaltender of our generation, and I'll have the conversation of all time. Can't wait to see him step back on the ice tonight against the Islanders. Super, super excited about
I would love to hear that all-time not bargain. I would love to hear your thoughts on that all-time piece right there.
It's interesting because I know he doesn't have a cup, and that's it.
Right.
But I feel like there's no doubt in anyone's mind that he will be the best goalie / player of all time to go down. Sorry, go down all time to not win a Stanley Cup. It would have been Alex Ovechkin,
I agree.
but obviously he got his cup.
Yeah.
So Carey Price being the best goaltender in the league for at least a decade every single season.
Yeah.
Never really being challenged for that position, or at least challenged seriously by anyone in most opinion. The numbers he's put up, MVP seasons, he has more effect on a team as a goalie than I've seen in a long, long time that any individual player has on a team. Because we've seen fantastic players like McDavid on mediocre teams like Edmonton. Have they been to the Stanley Cup final yet?
That's true. I can't argue with that, honestly. Carey Price, by the way, 360 wins in his career, 257 losses. Outstanding player, 49 career shutouts. Hopefully hits 50 tonight. That would be love. At the time of this video, they are playing tonight against the Islanders. So it should be a really good game. Even if you're not a Habs fan, you would love to watch it because Carey is just amazing.
Once in a generation.
Probably one of the best Canadian goaltenders of all time, if not the best. But I think Brodeur probably has him beat on that one.
I think I can definitely talk about Brodeur being up there. I think Fleury doesn't get the love he deserves.
Fleury as well.
Three-time Stanley Cup winning goaltender. He's won gold medals. He's done about everything he can do, and people forget that Fleury's fantastic.
Even Roberto Luongo didn't win a Stanley Cup, but it goes unrecognized as a goaltender that was bar none one of the best Canadian goaltenders of all time, but never won a cup. Went to a finals with Vancouver, but never got that hardware.
Similar to Carey Price, he's the backbone of the organization. Like, he was the backbone of the Canucks.
Right.
He was on that roster.
Right.
And it's sad to see that he didn't win a cup either.
Yeah. There's a lot going on with especially the NBA. These next couple days, Saturday, or at the time of this video, it'll be uploaded on Sundays. And right now we have a lot of stuff to talk about for the NBA because you got the playoffs, you got the actual kind of rivalries between both those teams and all the other teams in the NBA. What are your thoughts on some of the actual series in like the NBA playoffs so far?
Going in with the playoffs starting on Saturday, we're going to play in tonight. The final games between, I believe it's the Hawks and the Cavs and the Clippers and the Pelicans to solidify the 8th seed in both the East and West. I think those are interesting games. You got a lot of young teams there, a lot of young talent. Now Paul George is ruled out due to the protocols that the league has, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Clippers tonight. I think tonight the Pelicans get it done and the Cavaliers get it done over the Hawks.
I don't know.
I would have loved to go with the Hawks. I really would have, but Trae Young, the best player on the court, obviously.
Right.
They have the playoff experience, but Jared Allen's expected to be back tonight, and that team is different when Jared Allen's on the floor.
I agree.
I think Cleveland's big enough, strong enough, fast enough. They can compete scoring-wise. They don't have a player as good as Trae Young, but as a team, I think they're equipped to beat that team.
Right. I do love Cleveland and what they've been able to do this season, and obviously they got smoked by Brooklyn. But you kind of expected that. Brooklyn's that team that has always been really well built, and over the last couple of years they've been that team that's well built. But in terms of Cleveland, they're a younger team, similar to the Raptors, honestly, on a level. Don't have the experience of some of the Raptors players, but they do have that young core that's trying to find something to be a playoff team in the future. And they've surprised a lot of teams this season, really, with what they've done. Yeah. The Hawks, on the other hand, a team that's been there before, conference finals, Trae Young, cold as ice on the court. Ice Trae. I just can't see Trae Young choking to Cleveland unless he gets into foul trouble.
It's funny because right before we started filming this, I was on the Atlanta train. I was like, the Hawks are
really?
I'm going Atlanta. But no, as soon as I saw Jared Allen's back in action, I get it. Trae Young, he's crazy. He's one of those few players that you could almost consider unguardable in some aspects. Like, he plays the game with such a level of skill that it's hard to contest. But I think Cleveland's ready for the challenge. It's a home game for Cleveland as well.
Right.
Cleveland's home record is, if you reverse it, because I believe they're 25-16 at home this season.
Right.
And if you reverse the record to 16-25, that is Atlanta's away record. So I'm taking the home team's momentum. I'm taking a healthy roster, Lou Will's expected to be out for the Hawks as well, and so is John Collins. So it's really just Trae Young tonight.
It pretty much is, but
That's the reason I'm taking the Cavs.
it really comes down to what can Trae do by himself. It's pretty much the only thing they have going for them. I got the bracket actually pulled out here.
Let's do it. Leave these out?
Yeah, let's do a little bracket challenge. So for those who don't know, whoever is listening right now, we have an NBA bracket challenge that we're going to do, created by NBA.com, of course. They do this every year just to engage the fans and get everyone excited for the NBA playoffs. And it's honestly pretty genius because it works, and I do it every year. I'm sure Nick does it every year as well.
100%.
I just want to dive in a little bit to the Pelicans and the Clippers tonight, actually, as well, just before we actually start completing the bracket.
Yeah.
Pelicans, a team without Zion, and they've had him out all year. But then you go to the Clippers, who have had Kawhi Leonard out all year, and they've still both made the playoffs, or the play-in, and now have a big game tonight. Did you say Paul George is out for the game?
Paul George is out tonight, so he's been ruled out due to the protocol with the NBA with COVID and everything like
Right.
that. The Clippers are one of those teams where the West, to me, there's not a lot of teams that impress me. There's like 4 or 5 teams that you expect to kind of do good in this year's playoffs, and the rest of them are just average rosters.
Right.
The East is far superior to the West right now. I don't even think it's close. So to have teams like New Orleans, San Antonio, the Clippers, all these guys in playoff contention, to me, if you have
It's
a
tough.
losing record, you should not be in the playoffs.
No, I agree.
Right? But the Clippers tonight, I would have chosen the Clippers over the Pelicans had Paul George been still ruled in for the game.
Right.
He's the difference maker for that team. He's the glue.
Yeah.
And he's been really hot recently.
Absolutely.
Paul George, I don't think the Clippers stand a chance against Brendan Ingram and CJ McCollum.
And there's absolutely, I agree with you on 100%. Without Paul George, the Clippers are just a mediocre team. Like, I hate to say it, Clippers fans, but you're not beating the Pelicans, Brendan Ingram, and their whole gang without Paul George. Like, maybe if Kawhi came back, but without Paul George, it's not happening. And yeah, we got to both move the Pelicans forward. We're both kind of different on the Cavaliers and the Hawks, but that's okay. So let's start with the actual first rounds. So let's start with the East actually first. So we got Miami versus, for you, Cleveland, and for me, the Atlanta Hawks. So this could actually change quite a bit because one team could probably beat this one or lose pretty badly.
If Cleveland goes through, this is harder than I thought.
Yeah.
I'm not choosing the Cavs over the Heat because I think the Heat are a better team. They have more talent.
Mhm.
But the Cavs aren't a good matchup for Miami.
No.
So I think they could probably push them to a 6, maybe 7, more likely 6-game series.
Probably 6, yeah.
And I take Miami in 6. So I'm going to do Miami in 6 right there.
So I got Atlanta and Miami. This is tough because obviously I understand that Miami is the team that they are this year, and they've had Kyle Lowry come to their team, and he's really helped with the veteranship and the leadership of this team. And Miami, of course, is the first seed.
Yes.
But I don't know. If Atlanta gets their players back healthy, could they upset them in a Game 7? Maybe.
I could see it.
But it's Miami.
Atlanta's been there too.
Yeah.
Atlanta's been to the Eastern Conference.
Exactly. That's why I can't count them out, but I'll say Game 7, Miami takes it.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
The next series.
Moving on to the one that's
Are we doing that one or are we skipping it?
nah, let's do that one first. Let's get out of the way. Straight off, Raptors are winning this in 5.
5.
They're winning this in 5. The 70s,
Wow.
I like the 76ers, and of course I respect them as a team. And I disrespect Shaq for roasting the Raptors and saying we're getting swept in 4.
Okay, no shot.
I think if Philadelphia can win the first 2 games, then that is the only reason the Raptors go to 6 or 7.
Okay.
But if Toronto wins the first 2 games, or at least one of the games in Philly, I don't see them losing at home in front of that crowd. I think Joel Embiid is probably the main target the Raptors are going to look out for. and they'll most likely double team him, of course. But you still have James Harden, of course.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been playing that good.
No, so
His numbers have been pretty weak.
This is, I'm not going to say the hardest series to call in the first round because I think that might go to Boston, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But I'm taking the Raptors. I'm taking them in 6.
Okay.
At the beginning of the season, I didn't even think the Raptors make the playoffs.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, I agree.
I thought they'd be a 12th seed, 13th seed, and I'm kind of.
I had them in the play-in at 10th.
Yeah, I'm
So,
kinda
bottom of the
happy to be
barrel.
wrong here 'cause it's good for the city.
Yeah.
I have them winning in 6. I think Joel Embiid is the guy they have to lock down for sure. He's going to get 35, 40 a night. That's a given. You could throw whoever you want to on him.
Yeah.
He's going to get his buckets. James Harden definitely is the X factor in this series. Don't forget about Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, he's a good player too, honestly.
He could steal a game. He
He
can't
could.
steal you a series.
No.
He's not a superstar at that caliber level yet, but he's a really good player. He's fantastic.
Harris is pretty good as well. He's not too bad.
Harris isn't too bad. I think Philly will win one game at home. I think
Yeah.
they'll actually split the first 2 games. I think Philly will win.
I think so.
Will win one as well. But I don't underestimate Philly and Toronto because they have a history of playing spoiler to Toronto, not necessarily.
That's
you know,
true. You gotta look back at
Kawhi
2019.
did win that, hit that shot to
Yeah.
propel them into the Eastern Conference Final in 2019. But Philly plays good in Toronto, and I think they can win once.
Okay.
But I think they only win once, and Toronto wins this game series in 6. So I'm taking Toronto in 6 here. Let's go.
All
Lock
right.
that in.
Milwaukee, Chicago. This should be a really good series, actually.
Milwaukee, Chicago. Yes, I'm excited for this.
Big boy DeMar versus big boy Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I'm sorry to say, I love DeMar. I'm sorry, Toronto fans. I'm sorry, DeMar fans. They're getting swept. I really wanted to give the Bulls a game. I did. I thought they might be able to squeak out one game against Milwaukee. I don't see it happening. Milwaukee's undefeated against Chicago in the past 13 games. He hasn't lost a game in Chicago or playing against Chicago, not even in Chicago, just against their roster.
Yeah.
The Bucks are too big. They're way too strong. They can shoot from every position on the floor. Now Giannis is hitting his 3-pointers too, not at a great clip, but at around 35%, which is incredible for him. Give me the Bucks in 4. It's not even close, and I don't even think the games are close. I think Chicago might have a good first half in a game.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's a really good guess because obviously Milwaukee in the playoffs, and I picked them last year to win. I think you did as well. They're just too good. They find ways to win games, but I do think Chicago was still 1. I'll give them a little bit of respect. I'll give them 5. And I think Chicago at least still won. If won, probably the first game, just to scare the crap out of Milwaukee, and then Milwaukee will just turn a switch, and that's it. 4 in a row. Boston versus the Nets. I got an upset. I'm not taking Boston to win this. There's no way. I can't see Boston beating KD and Irving.
See,
I'm gonna take him in 6.
this is a really, really tricky series because KD and Kyrie are the best players in the court.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously. Jason Tatum's a fantastic player. Jaylen Brown, they're a great duo as well.
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn has more talent, and they have arguably the best scoring duo of all time.
Yeah.
And when you think of it, no guys in NBA history have been on the same team that can score the way that those two can score.
Yeah.
Boston's a better team.
I think on paper, yes.
Boston's a much better team.
Yeah.
I believe they're ranked first in defensive efficiency.
They are, yeah.
The best defensive team in the league. And Brooklyn's one of the worst defensive teams in the league, if not the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're one of the best offensive teams in the league because of their scores. But I'm gonna take Brooklyn.
It's tough, but because you got to think Brooklyn, even if they didn't have Harden, they swept Boston last year.
But if Simmons plays,
It's a
wrap.
then it's a wrap.
It's a wrap. Because people forget, I know Simmons doesn't have a shot, but Simmons, as a facilitator of the basketball, is elite. As a defensive presence,
He's a great defensive player, yeah.
He is one of the best defensive players in the league.
Absolutely.
And to have that type of talent step back into your roster, as long as he can play 80% of what he's capable of, the Nets win. Regardless if he plays or not, give me the Nets in 7. This is the best series of the first round.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's so tricky to play.
Is Tatum going to be playing in this series? Because he's been out for a bit.
They've probably been resting him for the series. I just
Probably.
took Brooklyn on my bracket right there. So we got there.
Yeah.
There you go.
I respect Boston, and don't think just because I'm a Leafs fan and I hate the Bruins, I'm not putting the Celtics through. That's not why. The Celtics, I think against Chicago they win. I think against the Raptors they win, and Miami they probably force 7.
Miami
But
did win.
maybe even win.
Yeah.
But the Nets for some reason have their number, and I just can't see them winning that series.
It's also Kyrie in Boston.
Yeah. Phoenix. We'll move on to the West now. Phoenix and over both of us, New Orleans. I mean, this is looking like a sweep. There's no other way to sugarcoat it. Yeah, come on. There's nothing happening for New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm not even sold on Phoenix. Like, I don't have Phoenix winning at all. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But I'm sold enough on Phoenix that they.
I mean, like,
in a series.
when Devin Booker is a good player, there's no stopping him.
Devin Booker, CP3.
CP3 too.
And like they got depth. Cameron Payne's on that team, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they got Cameron Payne. They got depth on that roster. So.
New Orleans could definitely push to Game 6, but that's only if Phoenix gets in trouble.
I don't even think they.
I don't even think they can win 2 games,
One
but
game, maybe.
that's the worst scenario I think for Phoenix. They go down 2-1 and they're heading back to New Orleans for Game 4, and they're crapping themselves because they're like, why did we lose that game at home? That's probably the worst case scenario for Phoenix, but they still go through. This is a very controversial series, Utah and Dallas. Everyone loves Luka, and I really love Luka too.
Dallas is my team.
I definitely am picking Dallas, but Utah's a good team too.
Luka may not play game 1.
Yeah.
So even if Utah goes up 2-0, if Luka, let's just say Luka doesn't play the first 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
If Utah goes up 2-0, I still have the Mavericks.
Yeah.
They go up 3-0, we have a conversation. But the Mavericks, better team all the way through. Utah, they've been underappreciated and disrespected for the past few years.
Yeah.
And I've been on the side of acknowledging that. But against a player like Luka, if Luka can go up against Kawhi and Paul George in a playoff series 2 years in a row, being the 2 best wing players in the league, arguably,
Yeah.
he can go up against Donovan Mitchell.
I
And
think
Utah Jazz.
I think the Mavericks are the people's team, really.
I want the finals to be the Mavericks Bucks.
Right?
I want that.
I want
so
Dallas,
bad.
especially since Mark Cuban is like the
I love Cuban.
the
What
best
if-
owner
what
in the
if Cuban-
freaking league.
I want that final between Giannis and Luka.
Mm-hmm.
2 favorite players.
I'm definitely gonna pick Dallas in 7 just because Luka is not in that, and that's probably the closest series you're gonna see in this entire.
Dallas in 7 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Golden State and Denver.
close.
Denver's a good playoff team, but it's Curry, it's Steph.
Give me the Warriors in 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me in 5. I think the Joker is good enough to get 1 game out of these guys. Like Jokic, fantastic player. He's good enough to win 1 game with the roster that he has. But with Steph, with Clay, with Draymond, with Poole, with Wiggins if he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Wiseman's. I think he's done.
No, he's done.
Yeah, he's done. But if without him, with or without, I think the Warriors are way too big. Not even big, way too good.
They're just
They've been here. They've
they're
been
just a
here
good shooting
every
team.
single year, right?
Yeah.
So give me the Warriors in 5.
I don't know what is dragging me towards like actually making this a close series, but for some reason I see the Joker taking this to 7. I don't know why, but the Joker scares me.
Okay.
As a Warriors fan, I'm nervous about the Joker.
Yes.
Not necessarily Jamal Murray, but obviously he hasn't been playing.
Yeah.
So
Even if he does, he comes back at like
Yeah.
what he was.
I don't know. I think the Joker could push 7, but not win. So I'm gonna say 6.
6? Okay.
I'm gonna say 6.
All right. Warriors in 6.
Yeah. Memphis and Minnesota. This is very interesting because Memphis,
Tricky.
I had no clue that they were going to be a good team this year, and then they just all of a sudden started playing fantastic
I'm
basketball.
not going to be that guy who's like, I called it. I knew Memphis would be good.
Right.
I did not think they'd be the 2 seed in the
No,
Western Conference.
I thought they were going to be 6.
Yeah, I figured they'd be maybe like kind of with Dallas being like the 4 or the 5
Yeah.
seed around there. But they've been lights out this year. And
Yeah.
they're better without John Morant. I'm not
Right.
saying they're a better team without John Morant. They just play better without him.
They just are a hungry basketball team. They remind me of the Vegas Golden Knights before they had, yeah, exactly, the first year. They're just playing basketball. That's really it.
They just want to play and prove
Yeah.
them wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota's great. Karl Anthony Towns is having a career year. Who else? They got.
You got to feel for Pat
Anthony
Bev,
Edwards.
too. And Pat Bev is so happy at the celebration.
You know what? I think people really took a lot of shots at the Timberwolves for celebrating their win there. And
Yeah.
I'm speaking to the people here. That is not a playoff team. They have never been a great franchise. They've had great talent. Like Kevin Garnett's played there. We know that. But they were not expected to be good this year. And for them to consistently be in the lottery every single year, for them to be able to go to the playoffs now,
It's huge.
is huge.
What was the last time? I think the last time they made the playoffs is 2004 or something.
It's been a while. And
Yeah.
for them to make the playoffs, yeah, they're probably not going to make it out of the first round.
Right.
Right? Good for them for making it that far.
Mhm.
That's a young team, too. So they
I agree.
years of being good.
You know what this series reminds me of? And sorry for all the hockey analogies, anyone listening, but this is the Leafs Capitals of 2016-17. This is a young Minnesota team. Literally, the Memphis Grizzlies, not as dominant as the Washington Capitals, but they're known now as a big dog team. And definitely a team that could probably steal 2 games if they really are hungry for it. So I'll say Memphis in 6.
I got Memphis in 6 for sure.
Yeah, I think Memphis will win this one in 6.
You've said